Liquid Sweet Harmony, originally released in White Label on 1991, before being signed by XL Recordings the following year and hitting 15 in the UK charts. It's a rave classic that has stood the test of time and still destroys dance floors today. So let's go.
This brings back such strong memories.
Is this Tacky Jack?
No, mate. I had it on a few mixtapes. Oh, love them. Oh, man. Video cost £45 to make. Oh God. Oh, wanna go raving. In a set. Is this still valid, Felix?
Well, we'll come on to it. I mean, like, there's remixes of it that you could play, there's like edits of it that you could play. I would say like proper drum and bass, like, we'll come on to some of those later on, but yeah, 100% you can still play it, 100%.
If you played this at digital, you just see me shuffling out. Grandad on the dance floor, Grandad on the dance floor.
Right, let's leave it there. I mean, it makes me think in a totally joyous way of that Mike Skinner line from Weak Become Heroes. That same piano loops over and over and over. And it just makes me smile like from ear to ear. And it's amazing how one piano melody can seem to encapsulate all of like the emotional highs and lows of your life and then just keep giving you it over and over and over again in just a never-ending piano loop.
Yeah, just something about the early 90s. Like, I wasn't raving at this point. I was getting mixtapes off my babysitter, Matthew. This is going to be one of those show me the samples that has got me twatting that on the Amazon Alexa. Yes. Like, Laura's going to be like, what is he doing? The pots.
Well, if you...
In a sweet harmony.
Well, I can't wait. If you don't know where this has come from, I'm looking forward to opening your eyes because it's a beautiful, beautiful journey. But I mean, I don't think I do. Like, something that Sweet Harmony reminded me of today when I was putting this together was like an epic night I had in Fabric years ago. I was probably like a pill or two deep at this point. I was having the time of my life. I'd lost all my pals. Didn't
the best night where you're a refugee on your own night out.
But I ended up sitting on these metal fire escape stairs, and I think it was Tyson who found me, and he said I'd been gone for like an hour or something, and I'd been chatting to this girl. This girl was like sat like, you know, on the stairs near me, and like I was sure that I'd been having like a proper deep and meaningful emotional chat with her, talking about the highs and lows of my life and everything else. But later on the next day, Tyson assured me that she was Polish and didn't speak a word of English. So either I'd been like spilling my heart out to someone who didn't understand me but was too polite, or also too fucked to just get up and leave.
So beautiful. I've just made one of the most important connections of my life with a young lady who understood fuck all.
Nothing. Absolutely amazing. Nothing. Liquid are a British act originally formed by Eamon Downs and Shane Heneghan. Eamon still tours, and the act has found enduring success on the world stage. The pair actually had to borrow cash from a friend to get Sweet Harmony pressed up to White Label so they could get it out and promote it, eventually getting it into the hands of DJs like Pete Tong. But they had to work hard to find a label to sign the track, literally calling around all the labels they could get numbers for, and eventually XL Recordings took a chance on the track, and the rest is history. We can't do this episode without asking for your favourite 90s rave tracks. Stick them in the comments below and we'll go through them for future episodes to feature. The first one that I pick and we do an episode on will get a year's free access to our Patreon content. If you love the show and you want more of our chat, support the show on Patreon. Dan, tell the people what they get if they sign up.
A magic 20 quid via a Canadian and me, and we'll go halves on some cocaine.
I'll tell you what you get. You get access to hour-long, uncut episodes of the show. We produce a 1 hour episode every week. We have loads of banter with our Patreons. We watch the different clips. We have loads more chat, and we tell loads more stories. So if you're into it, sign up and support us.
Can I just say, I forgot there that there is a definite cut between what goes in the public on YouTube. So I just thought, this will be funny. I'll do a callback to the story.
Just call back to the story that no one on YouTube will hear.
So literally on the YouTube, it's going to be like, on a sweet harmony, on a sweet harmony. Dan, tell them what they get on the Patreon. You get a magic 20 quid via a Canadian and me, and we'll go off on cocaine.
I'm Felix Leiter, international DJ and producer.
My name's Dan Nightingale from the Have a Word podcast.
And together we're going to explore the samples that feature in tracks you love in a show that we like to call
Show Me the Sample.
First up, mate, we're just going to cover off a couple of drum samples. These aren't too sexy. They're not going to be too amazing. They're not going to blow your mind. But it's only fair that as Show Me the Sample, we cover them off. So these samples give Sweet Harmony that breakbeat vibe that I think you love so much. Both of them are speeded up in Sweet Harmony. The first one is from Cool D and Technology, Go to Work. It was released in 1988 and it was produced by the prolific Sed G of Ultra Magnetic MCs fame, who we've talked about before on the show because he's been heavily sampled by the Prodigy. Have a quick listen to this, mate. You'll hear the sample first, and then I've just cut it into Sweet Harmony. The sample that you hear first is just speeded up in Sweet Harmony. So yeah, it's not going to blow anyone's mind, but we have to do our due diligence and we have to talk about the samples. Next one is a sample gold mine. Bobby Bird Hot Pants bonus beats. It was produced by the mighty James Brown. James originally released Hot Pants in 1971, but multiple versions were later released by Brown's associates. Its drum loop has been extensively sampled, mate, in tracks like Fight for the Power by Public Enemy, to Fool's Gold by the Stone Roses, Step Back in Time by Kylie Minogue, and Good Vibrations by Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. Now, we've already discussed a couple of those tracks and artists in previous episodes. So if you're watching this and you haven't seen those, go back and check out our back catalogue. It's growing by the week. It's fantastic. Go and check it out. Now, let's take a quick listen. You're going to hear the sample first, mate. Then we're going to go into Sweet Harmony. Everyone from different generations and different musical backgrounds, when they hear this first sample, will hear a different track. But to me, plain and simple, it's Fool's Gold by the Stone Roses. Check this out.
I heard Fight the Power more.
Yeah.
I think I heard Public Enemy a little bit, although they definitely tinkered with it.
Yeah. So it's just whoever your musical background is and what you might listen to more. They obviously, Sweet Harmony, they're looped up. Those two breaks loops are linked up on top of each other and sped up to create that background. Onto the main sample in Sweet Harmony. It's been sampled in so many ways, in so many amazing records, but C.C. Rogers Someday is an exquisite example of early house music at its very, very finest. Produced by Marshal Jefferson, a pioneer of house music, he had this bittersweet piano riff lying around when a friend asked him for a track for a vocalist he was working with. C.C. Rogers flew out to Chicago, and what you will hear in this track is his first go at the vocal. He asked to try and redo it, and they tried it, and it just never anything caught this same vibe of his first attempt at the vocal. Jefferson later presented the track to Merlin Bobb of Atlantic Records, who immediately signed it, making it one of the first house tracks to be released on a major label. To highlight the importance of this track to the culture that it helped to create, Carl Cox chose it as one of his last few tracks to play at the very final Space closing in Ibiza in 2016. This is CC Rogers' Someday, produced by Marshal Jefferson and as played by Carl Cox at the legendary final closing party of Space Ibiza. Sample coming up, Dan.
That same piano
over and over and over, and I just never want it to stop.
What's your name? European Bob. Nice one. People aren't really dancing there, they're just experiencing it. They're just like taking that in, aren't they?
I remember waking up. So that was going on. I think it would have been a Tuesday night into a Wednesday morning. I think I could be wrong, but it was the last ever time that Space was open. It was the last ever time that Cox was closing Space ever before it changed to High Ibiza. Him and Fanchuli and Pep in the DJ booth. And I remember waking up. Honest to God, I remember waking up and watching it live because it was being broadcast somehow, and they were still going at that time in the morning in Ibiza, and Cox had been playing and was finishing out, and yeah, they were still going in Playa del Bossa at the mighty Space. Like, you can hear, like you said, people are just having feelings and experiencing it. I think it was one of the last 3 or 4 or 5 records he played right at the end, and you can hear those haunting CC Rogers vocals with lines like, we'll all live as one family in sweet harmony. Like Liquid chose to loop only one bit of the vocal and pitch it up slightly, but it just sparkles over that piano riff and speaks 1,000 words of warmth and understanding, like dance music, house music at its very, very finest, in my humble opinion, mate. What are you going to go and get that straight on the Amazon? Are you going to go and CC Rogers it someday right up?
Listen, I suppose if you're into Show Me the Sample, you probably either sympathise with the world of clubbing and the clubbing culture, or you still do it, or you're, like I was talking about, like a retired refugee of the scene that just... like I wasn't there. I've never been to space. I've never seen Carl Cox DJ. But that moment there where you're watching that and you see exactly what you've just said, Felix. Like there are some legendary tracks, legendary tunes. I had heard that before, and it's just been washed away in my memory, and it quickly came back. Really, it's from an era of clubbing before mine as well. Like this. These weren't tracks that were being smashed out in 2005, 2006 very regularly. Yeah. But yeah, absolutely beautiful. I'm really glad you let that play out. Although I was never at something quite so momentous and obviously powerful. Like I did have a few moments in clubbing where you were like, it's a really little special moment that we've all shared. And yeah, there was intoxicants involved, but it doesn't matter because the people in that moment are feeling it, so it's still valid. And the sample's great, but like I love it. I love what the sample stories brought out in this episode.
No one's like something that I like think about a lot is no one's moment is any more valid or less valid or more important or less important than anyone else's just because someone was at this closing of space and they saw Carl Cox play that. Yeah, it's great to them. But the memory though, the feeling that you had wherever you are, Dan, or whoever's watching, like, at that moment you had, wherever you were, in whatever club or whatever festival or whatever field, and that tune was playing and you were with someone or you were with some multiple people or you were just on your own and you had your eyes closed and your fist in the air, that moment is as valid to you as any other person's moment is as valid to them. And that's what that's what Show Me the Sample tries to celebrate, is just finding those moments and finding the reason that more people built on them. Because the reason that the guys from Liquid sampled that is because they might have had a moment to that record and they bring it back to a new generation. And then someone else, honorable mention to Danny Bird, he did a remix of Sweet Harmony in 2010, and a whole new generation of drum and bass heads will have had their first moment on one of their first nights out to the Danny Bird version of it. And hopefully one of those people might watch this video one day and see the steps back to where it came from. And that's what Show Me the Sample's all about.
Yeah, it's a great sample, and there's a lot to be said for those moments that are just beautiful and powerful and momentous. And I'm not religious, and I think I don't know if people have never been into clubbing or if they've never even been into live music, and there's some shared human experiences. Like if you've never go to a music festival, it's not my favorite thing to do, but I've done it, and there is a reason 100,000 people stand in a field at festivals, and there's a reason people are there at 7 a.m. And I mean, a lot of it is MDMA, cocaine, and ecstasy, but there's 2,000 people in that room sweating their dicks off because those moments are invaluable, and everyone should take the opportunity, if they get it, to experience one.
Nailed it, man. He's been Dan Nightingale.
He's been Felix Leiter.